Today I'm going to pull back the curtains on my business and show you how I work with developers. Mainly the process I use to communicate the specifics of what I want done to ensure that I always meet deadlines and complete projects successfully. Now, over the past years I've worked with many developers, and I assure you this is the most crucial part to get correct in the whole development process. So please make sure you pay attention to everything I say in this video and you watch it all the way through and take notes, or even watch it multiple times if you have to. In this video here I outlined in detail how I find the best developers. Now I want to show you what happens after I find the right person and how I onboard them onto my team. Usually when you're hiring a developer, you have a specific project you're working on. So first and foremost, you need to have a detailed onboarding document that any developer can read and fully understand what's happening as soon as they come on board. That's what you're going to have a look at right now. So what you're looking at now is the exact onboarding document that I used to create the previous mobile trucking app that I took you on a journey of with my previous videos. So what I like to do is start off with giving context on the whole situation. I talk about how it's an earth-moving trucking company that transports dirt. I also mention that it's for the internal operations and what the client's trying to achieve from the whole trucking app. This way, the developer understands what they're dealing with, why they're creating it, and the problem they're trying to solve. Now you're speaking in the language of developers. You present them with a problem and you tell them how you'd like it to work, and they can work out everything else. So that's what I do to give some context on the situation. And I'll also create a Loom video explaining in even more detail, giving it even more context on the whole app, explaining as much as I possibly can when it comes to what we're dealing with. The more context you give, the better. So after I've given some context on the whole situation, I want to talk about the user flow and what it looks like. All I'm doing here is explaining the exact details of how I want the flow to be. So on the admin side, they've got to have the ability to create a new job. They've got to have the ability to add a new driver to the system. They've got to have the ability to review all the jobs. So if I click on each of these arrows, it goes into even more detail of how I want that page to look, the information I want on there, etc, etc. Same thing here, basically what I need on each of those pages. And the same thing with the driver side. So if I close this admin section here, I click on driver. Again, I'm explaining in detail what I want on each page. So each of these arrows means there's a page there, and this is the information I want on that specific page. And same thing here. This is simply to show how you want the app to function and what you're looking for when it comes to using the mobile app. And the developer can do whatever they need accordingly. So you're telling them exactly how you want it, and then they'll make it happen. And on top of that, as you can see, I have a mirror link here that gives a whole bird's eye view on the exact flow and how it should look like. So if we click on this link, you'll see what I'm talking about with this diagram. So once I click on this link, it's basically showing them the user journey. So they have a login page, right? With a login page, they have three different options: an admin section, a driver section over here, and also a contractor, right? So this company worked with subcontractors and they wanted a subcontractor to have a different login. So it's very simple. So it's basically the same details that I showed you over here with the pages, admin, driver, contractor page, but it's simply a visual version of what you see here. So if you come to the driver section, you have three different options: create a docket, look at the profile, and jobs. Driver, click here, this arrow, profile, fill out the docket, and jobs. And then once I click on this, it gives all the details here. Once I click on this, it gives all the details as well. So that's all it is. It's a visual representation of what we see over here. That way it helps the developers understand in even more detail what you're working with. And also over here I have some detailed visuals of how I want it to look like, and maybe some similarities to another app. You can get as creative as you want with this. It's really up to your imagination. The more information you give, the better. So now what we've covered is even some context on the whole situation. Then you give more details on how you want the app to flow in terms of the user experience. And now give you more detail on the exact functions and requirements we want in the app, right? So as I mentioned before, there's an admin portal and there's a driver's portal. So the admin portal needs to have a few things. You need to have a dashboard where they can select all these different options. You need to have the ability to send notifications once the job's been assigned. The admin needs to be able to manage the drivers. They need to be able to create jobs. They need to be able to assign jobs. They need to be able to create reports, etc, etc. So I give an extremely detailed breakdown of how I want everything in the mobile app to look. And the same thing with the driver's portal. I give a more detailed breakdown of what I want the dashboard to look like, the job views, the docker forms, job history. So this is exactly what you're working with. So once you've given a breakdown on the admin portal requirements and then also the driver's portal requirements, it's time to talk about the milestones. So milestone 1 is project initiation and planning. So this is basically what we've done here. We've planned out exactly how we want the app to look. We've talked about all the functionalities, the user flow, the experience, the problem we're trying to solve. This whole thing is part of the planning process. And then after that, we have milestone 2, which is the design phase. We talk about how you want the app to look like, what type of colors you want to use, what type of themes you want to go with, etc., etc. That's where the wiring frame comes in, right? That mirror document that I shared. That's more the design phase. Milestone 3 is the developer process. So most importantly, with the trucking mobile app that we created, the first thing we wanted to develop was the admin portal. Then the second thing was the driver's portal. And then after that, we wanted to integrate it with their current systems like Xero and all their accounting software. After we created the admin portal and the driver's portal, and also integrated it with their systems, it was time to start deploying and testing. And then from there, after you test, if you like what you see, you go live. And then milestone 8, you maintain what you've built. It's just maintenance. So that's essentially it for the onboarding document. If you give this type of document to a developer, it's more than enough for them to understand what you're trying to do and solve your problem. And from there, you constantly work together and go back and forth and iterate on the product. Now, if you found this video helpful, I assure you you're going to love the next video where I structure and organize my contracts with clients to help me win over more jobs. Make sure you subscribe and leave the notifications on so you don't miss that video. Over and out.